Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is going to be a Raid Shadow Legends video. If there's one video you watched this year about Raid Shadow Legends, it should be this one. Why is that? We're going to look at how do you beat the clan boss. And the clan boss is where you get your shards. It's where you potentially can get some epic books, legendary books. Pretty much the only place in the game that you get the really juicy, cool stuff. So stay tuned and let's get into it. So before I go into the detail here, I'm just going to go with the basics. There are a number of different stages of the clan boss, from easy through to ultra nightmare. Make sure that your clan is hitting the right sort of level of clan boss for you. The further you get through these different stages, the better your rewards will be. And when you get to ultra nightmare, like I'm at right now, actually you can start to get those great things like sacred shards, legendary books, etc., etc. You have a key counter up in the top right here. Respawns a key every 6 hours, so potentially you can get 4 hits of the clan boss in for free just with your regenerated keys. Again, make sure you use them, make sure you time your hits at the right time, and you will get better rewards throughout your day. Let's go into then understanding all about the clan boss. Before I tell you how to beat him, first we need to understand what he does, how he does it, and then we can understand what sort of positions and roles you're going to need to compete with that boss. Now, his first ability, Crash Through, basically it's a 4-hitter. If he's on a Void affinity, which is how he'll start for the first 50% of his health pool, he'll just hit 4 times, doesn't buff himself. But then, as you see on this move here, when he becomes an affinity boss, which means he switches to either Force, Spirit, or magic affinity, he will put increased attack on himself. It's really important to know that for when you get through to later stages of the game, because increased attack will boost his attack significantly. So this move will recycle, so it's on a 3-turn cooldown, like all of his abilities. So this will be his first hit. He then moves into another AoE. So 2 hits, first 2 hits are both AoEs. They're going to nuke all of your team. Need to bear that in mind. The second ability is an AoE again. It's a single hit on your whole team, but it hits really hard. This is the hardest hitting AoE that he does. So if you're going to be putting on increased defenses or shields, you need to put them on at this moment in time. Again, when he hits a affinity boss, he'll do different things. So for Force affinity, which is the red one, he will decrease your team's attack. If you are on Magic Affinity, the blue one, then he will apply poisons across your team. Decrease accuracy across your team. And if you are on Spirit, which is probably the hardest affinity boss, he will put a decreased speed on your team. That's the green boss. When you're just on the Void stage, it will just be a poison across the board, which is pretty easy to manage. The third main hit he does, third main move, is a single target. It's his only single target ability. And it is a stun. So he'll come and he'll smash one of your members of your team. He will stun them for 1 turn. Again, really important to realize when that's going to come. As you get more efficient in this game, you will be able to put things like block, debuffs on your team, so it stops the stun completely. Or you might have someone in your team that can cleanse a stun. Both of those can be really effective to keep your team alive for longer. The stun hurts a lot, so you're going to want some sort of healing going on once that hits. So if we move on then to his first passive, he basically has a block kind of cap of damage. So poisons that are meant to tick for max HP damage actually cap out. And they're different dependent on the level of clan boss you're up against. But when you get to the higher tiers, they cap out at hitting for 50,000 damage per poison. But it's still a massive amount of damage. You can see up here in the top left, I've got poisons ticking. I've got other debuffs on the boss as well. The maximum number of debuffs you can have at any time is 10. Do not try and stack more poisons than you need. They will do nothing. HP burn will hit slightly harder when you are on lower level bosses, and it kind of diminishes as you get further through. Also good to know that the Demon Lord is immune to stuns, freezes, sleeps, decreased speed, and anything which you can normally use to reduce turn meter. It just doesn't work. So you don't need to be bringing in champions that are going to drop turn meter. It will do nothing. It will just be wasting their moves. Second passive then, this one's really important to know. So From the 10th turn, his damage starts to ramp up. Every turn, it incrementally goes up and up and up. And then from level 20, it then grows at a faster rate. So the quicker you can do your damage, the more chance you've got of surviving and doing a higher hit. Basically, from 50th turn, which is very unlikely anyone watching this video is going to get there, but he will just nuke your team. So you've got a kind of time frame to do all your damage, which means you need to push your damage as high as you can as early as possible. So let's just get into his last passive then. He's immune to block cooldowns, fears, true fears, provokes, similar to the stuff I said earlier. Basically, any of those real game-changing abilities, he's immune to them. So don't bring those into this fight. Okay, so how do we get across beating this guy then? So we need some primary roles, especially if you're early game. And then as you get more adept into fighting the clan boss, you want to move into some of the secondary roles as well. Primary roles, and the single most important thing you need to lay on the clan boss is decrease attack. What you'll find in my playlist, I've got a clan boss playlist. I'll ping it up at the top of the screen so you can see it. There'll also be individual videos at the end of this video, which are linking to the different elements of my playlist that I've got. But basically, I've got a video that describes champions that can do decrease attack, champions that do poison, champions that are good in a speed team, champions that do counter attack, healers, and then we get onto the secondary roles. I've also got a guide on decreased defense champions, debuff extenders. I think that's probably as far as I've got so far. All of those videos will go into a lot of detail around each of these roles and how they play a part, who are the best champions to do it. And my videos literally range from rare champions right the way up to legendaries. So it will be irrelevant of what stage you are at the game. So decrease attack then, the single most important skill you can use. Basically, it will reduce the damage the clan boss does. If you can keep that on throughout the whole fight, you will have more turns, which means you'll have more chance to do damage. The second most important ability is a poison stroke HP burn, but poison's the bigger one. You can only get one debuff of HP burn on ever, so there's no point bringing more than one person that can do HP burn. But poisons you can stack up right to that kind of 10 limit on the clan boss. They are going to be your single highest amount of damage that you do to this clan boss. It's better than you bringing in big damage dealers, unless you are absolutely at the end game. So poison is a really important video to watch. Again, you'll see links to it at the end of this film. Increased speed, especially if you're early game up to about brutal clan boss, you want to be going as fast as you can. You want to be having as many turns as you can have to get those debuffs stacked and to get your hits in. Especially if you've got yourself to the point where you've actually improved your masteries and you're able to do War Master and Giant Slayer procs. The faster you go, the more damage they'll do. We'll come on to those masteries a little bit later in the video. Next big one, and you're lucky if you've got one, but there's 3 champions in this game who can do a counter attack on your whole team. They are Skull Crusher, Valkyrie, and Martyr. Very hard to get hold of one, but if you've got them, they are essential in your team. They will put out tons of damage for you. Basically, they put counter attack on your whole team, so you just get more hits in, more chance to land your debuffs, and the clan boss will take a lot more damage if you got them in. Next role then, healer. Obviously, you're taking damage, AoE damage continuously, so you need to be able to re-top up your health. There's 2 ways you can do this. You can either put everybody in lifesteal gear. Lifesteal gear is really effective in the clan boss. Or you can have somebody as a primary role as a healer in your team. Both of those things are really effective. As you get further into the game, a lifesteal set is probably more effective than a healer. You'd rather get more damage and more of the debuffs you need to do well. If we come into the secondary roles, the decreased defense and weaken are both really great to start pushing out more damage. Weaken is better early game. Decreased defense then becomes better late game. Reason being is the clan boss has quite a low defense when it's kind of easy, medium, brutal, up to kind of probably up to brutal really. When you get to Nightmare, Ultra Nightmare, the clan boss's defense starts to scale really high. Therefore, bringing decreased defense just enables you to do your hits much easier. Things like ally protection, increased defense, debuff extenders, they're all really good for your team. Look out for the champions that have got those abilities. And again, check out my videos to see some of those things in action. So this is an example of one of the videos I've done. It's one of my most viewed. Poison is the best way to do damage on the clan boss. Absolutely go and check this video out after, because it will really give you a good sense of who you should use and kind of how to do more damage to the clan boss. So let's go over then champions. Now, the most important stats to be aware of for clan boss are your speed, your accuracy, and your defense. Why is that? So on the left hand side here, you can see we've got all of the different speeds of the clan bosses, right the way from easy, medium, hard, brutal, up to nightmare and ultra nightmare. Generally, you just want to make sure you're going faster than the clan boss. Up to brutal, you actually just want to try and lap the clan boss as many times as you can. So you want to go as fast as possible. Great champions for that are people like Apothecary, High Katoon, even Diabolist. You know, some of the champions that you can bring in that are going to increase your speed and your turn meter. Again, I've got a video specifically around this. Accuracy is so important, because if you are not landing your debuffs, then you are not going to do your damage and you are not going to stay alive. So if we talk about poisons, if you don't land your poison and you don't have enough accuracy to land that poison, then basically they won't land, they won't do their damage, and your damage will be way below where it should be. So for me, accuracy is the second most important stat. If you don't have the accuracy, you will not land things like decrease attack. If you don't land decrease attack, then you won't stay alive long enough. So these numbers here are a guideline around what sort of accuracy should you have for different stages of the clan boss. And then lastly, I've put defense. This is something which is so important in this game. If you've got a decision to make whether you want to put more health points, more HP, or more defense on a champion, and it's for your clan boss team, 99 times out of 100, you should pick defense. I've got a number of takeover videos. Again, I've got a different video selection called account takeovers. I go into somebody's account and I support them to improve their scores. Defense is the main thing that I build to help people do better in this game. Again, on the numbers on the right hand side here are just good guidelines for the amount of defense you should have as a minimum when you're trying to tackle the clan boss. When you get things like accessories, rings, amulets, they're really good to build defense on. Shields are great because you get a good block of defense as a standard. But then things like your gloves, things like your chest, you can put defense percentage on those items and it will dramatically increase your defense. The higher you build your defense, the longer you will live. So the clan boss has no defense break. He doesn't have a way of decreasing your defense. So the more defense you've got, the longer you'll stay alive and the more damage you're going to do to this clan boss. So how do we get some of those things up higher than they are today? Let me tell you a few things to do. Focus your Great Hall first on accuracy, then on defense. That's going to help you build those scores up higher to make this fight much easier for you. That's the first two things. Also, when you're building your champions, let me get a couple here that have been built for clan boss. I'm just going to find one in my vault. Frozen Banshee, built for clan boss. So she has got lifesteal gear. She has got defense ring, defense amulet, accuracy banner. Okay, so that's my three most important stats covered in a lot of my jewelry items. She's then got a defense percentage gloves, defense percentage chest, and she's actually got HP percentage boots. Most people watching this will want speed boots. And what I've made sure I've done is I have got my speed to the place I want it to be. I've then said I need enough accuracy to be able to land my debuffs. And then after that, I've built as much defense as I can get. That is a good rule of thumb for any champion in this game for clan boss. So what we're going to do, we're just going to dive into a fight. We're going to get ourselves into a clan boss hit. As you can see, I said about rewards. Here's some rewards that are coming through now from my previous fight with the clan boss yesterday. Woo! Sacred Shard. Yes, that is almost as good as it gets. Sacred Shard or legendary books, that's exactly what you want from the clan boss. These boots are not what I'm after. Second chest, because we beat it, I got a couple of books. They're rare books, not amazing, but again, for my stage of the game, not terrible either. And that's actually pretty good. If you look at Brutal then, so we didn't kill the overall boss on Brutal, so I've only got one chest, but I have got a nice legendary item with resistance, pretty good. So you get some really good pieces from here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to dive into Brutal quickly, just show you a fight, and I'll put a team in that's perhaps a bit more accessible for most people watching this. So we're going to start off then. Kale, really great starter champion. It's got poisons, going to be a really good champion for your clan boss fight. We're going to have Apothecary. Apothecary's in there for speed and for some healing. Brilliant, a brilliant clan boss champion. We're then going to have ourselves Marked. Marked brings me decreased defense and increased defense. Again, another rare. We are then going to have ourselves a Coffin Smasher. Coffin Smasher brings decreased attack, which means we're going to last for longer in the fight. And then lastly, we are going to bring ourselves a Frozen Banshee, who's part of the Battle Pass. She will bring loads of poison. This is the setup. So I hit my start, use one of my keys. I can throw it on auto, so I know that my team's ready to go. We go speed up, we land poison, we land HP burn, and we're already away. We're doing damage. If I slow this down, I slow it down. You see here, we're getting decreased attack on. We're getting poison ticks on. We're getting speed running through my team. Every time the clan boss takes a turn, those poisons tick damage. Look at all these 50,000, 62,000s. That's all the poison doing damage. So I'm going to let this run through. I'll show you the end results, and then I'll show you some masteries that I've got on my champions to help me beat the clan boss. So here we go. Done 17.4 million with that team, which is a really good amount on Brutal. And you can see the way the damage is split. So this really rams home. Poison is the way you do damage. Look at this. One poisoner here is Kale, 5.7 million of that damage. Another poisoner here, Frozen Banshee, 5.8 million of that damage. Everybody else, 1.4, 1.1, 3.2 million. Most of your damage will come from poison, guys. Make sure that you absolutely prioritize poisoners in your clan boss team. So lastly then, I just want to show you how have I got their masteries built. Masteries become really important the further you get into the game. For clan boss, they're exceptionally important. Why is that? There's 2 masteries in this game which enable you to do a lot more damage on the clan boss. Both of them are tier 6 masteries. So there's one here which is called War Master. War Master has got a 60% chance of doing bonus damage when you attack. The bonus damage is equal to 10% of the target's max HP, or 4% of the target's max HP when attacking bosses. So whenever you hit the clan boss and this procs, you get a massive spike of damage. This is really important for clan boss. The other one is called Giant Slayer. This one says 30% chance of inflicting this. It's basically the same move, but it's 30% chance to hit instead of 60, but it hits per strike of the boss. So if you've got someone who hits 3 times or 4 times on their A1, then this has the chance to hit 3 or 4 times as well, but it's got a 30% chance. So basically you want to choose between War Master, and a good selection would be if your A1 attack hits with a single hit or a double hit, choose War Master. If your A1 attack hits for 3 times or 4 times, choose Giant Slayer. That's a really good kind of rule of thumb. But this will be another way for you to do as much damage as possible to the clan boss. There shouldn't be anyone in your team, once you've maxed masteries, that do not have one of those 2 skills if you want to do the absolute best damage you can do. Most champions will have a build similar to these, which has offensive tree and support tree. Why is that? Offensive tree is going to get you to your War Master or your Giant Slayer and enable you to do more damage. A support tree will enable you to get more accuracy to land your debuffs, potentially speed you up, and potentially allow you to lay those debuffs for a longer time. Again, I've got a video on Masteries. I'll link it at the end. There's going to be a bunch of videos at the end, but it's really worth checking them out if you're dedicated to boosting your team damage. Guys, if you're new to the channel absolutely, please subscribe, like the video, and hit the bell once you've subscribed. That way you'll get more information from me on a regular basis. I've been Hell Hades. I'd really love your comments below. I'll catch you soon.